Does your email account have a spam filter? Do you search for information online? Does the picture viewer on your smartphone offer you memories with favorite people or furry friends? Do you stream movies and music? Do you use a navigation app to help you find the way? If the answer to any or all of these questions is yes, then artificial intelligence is already an integrated part of your life. The benefits of AI are obvious. We get relevant information, great recommendations, precise directions. But let's look at another set of questions. Would you like an AI to write your news? Should AI be used to diagnose cancer and other serious diseases? Should it decide the price of your car insurance? Or drive your car? How would you feel about AI fighter pilots? All of these things are also possible, but at least some of them might have you worried. The concerns about AI are as obvious as the benefits. One problem is that we don't understand how it works. Also, AI might be wrong, and it could be bad. Let's consider these options. First, lack of understanding. AI and other digital technologies are often described as black boxes. Data goes in, a decision comes out. What happens in between, we don't know. Companies defend such black boxing, saying they have a right to protect their intellectual property, to keep the code secret. But with AI, the problem is deeper than corporate secrecy. Even AI developers don't know exactly how it works. We might say that this is why AI is revolutionary. If it wasn't independent from us, it wouldn't be artificial and it wouldn't be intelligent. However, this is also a serious concern. If we don't know how AI works, how can we trust it? Add to this the second set of problems about inaccuracy and injustice. There's a lot of talk about bias in AI, but actually such bias comes from people. That's because AI is developed by people and people have biases. And because AI is trained on data and data has biases. Let's imagine that we wanted to develop an AI that could identify computer scientists. We would start by training such an AI on a historical dataset of computer scientists, and the AI would look for patterns in this dataset. This might lead the AI to discover that one of the best predictors is gender. If you're a woman, then you're not a computer scientist. Now imagine that we use this AI to help us hire a computer scientist. The first thing it would do would be to discard all the female candidates, because it knew they didn't even have the right professional background. This might seem like a simple or even simplified example, but it's exactly what happens in the field of AI facial recognition. It's been discovered that AI technologies are best at recognizing the faces of white men. That's because they're trained on datasets that contain many white men, and because AI developers tend to be white men. The problem then is that AI reproduces and even enhances the patterns that it finds in the training data. And if these patterns are problematic, then the AI will be problematic as well. When we discover such flaws, we can fix them. But what about all the patterns that the AI has found and that we might not know about? How do they influence AI decisions? These known and unknown problems call for a turn to ethics in AI, to make sure that AI systems are used for good things and produce good results. Many companies have developed ethical guidelines. Governments and regulators are also producing ethical standards, and so are civil society organizations and other stakeholders. The proliferation of ethical standards indicates that the problem is taken seriously, but it creates a new one. What standards should we use? Which principles are the most important? And how do we ensure that the principles are practiced? Let's look at a few examples. Microsoft has 6 key principles. 1. Accountability. 2. Inclusiveness. 3. Reliability and safety. 4. Fairness. 5. Transparency. And 6. Privacy and security. In the context of regulation, the European Union emphasizes that AI should not only be ethical, but also lawful and robust. The ethical dimension, the EU says, rests on 4 principles. 1. Respect for human autonomy. 2. Prevention of harm. 3. Fairness. And 4. Explainability. You will notice the similarities, but also the differences. This is what happens when everyone wants their own standards. Recent surveys across many different guidelines point to 6 recurrent principles. 1. AI must not be harmful to humans. Rather, it should do good. 2. AI should be fair and just. 3. It should be accountable and responsible. 4. It should be human-centered, respecting human autonomy and preserving human agency. 5. AI must be transparent. And 6. It must be explainable. In what's left of this talk, I will focus on the last 2 principles because they're central to the problems of understanding and trusting AI. First, I'll argue that transparency must never stand alone. Then I'll show that explainability may support transparency and the other principles. Finally, I'll suggest one more principle, contestability, which may hold the key to implementation. Transparency is often presented as the solution to the problem of the black box. Just open it up. Show us your workings. However, opening the black box might not help us a lot when we don't really understand what's in it. Instead, transparency could become a way for the problems of AI to hide in plain sight. We can see everything, but we don't know what we're looking at. This is not to say that transparency is bad. If we want accountability, we need transparency. And without accountability, it's difficult to find the causes of problematic AI decisions. Hence, we need transparency to become aware of biases like the ones I talked about before. In this sense, transparency works backwards. Once we've discovered a problem, we can find its causes, and then we can fix it. But transparency does not work forwards. It cannot protect us from future injustices and undiscovered mistakes. Transparency does not necessarily build trust because it does not make AI trustworthy. Here, explainability might be better. Explainable AI is AI that we can understand in the sense that we know the rationale behind its decisions. Then we can judge if it's a correct and valid principle. For instance, it might be true that computer scientists were mostly men, historically speaking, and the profession might still be dominated by men today. But that doesn't make gender an accurate principle for deciding if somebody is a computer scientist. And it's certainly not a good principle for deciding which candidate to hire. Knowing this, we can fix it. But the problem remains that we don't necessarily know what the rationales behind AI decisions are. The principle of explainability demands that AI developers find this out and communicate their knowledge before it's too late. With explainability, then, we can consider the risk that a certain AI technology will be problematic before the problem has occurred. And we can discuss potential problems and their solutions. Explainability is central for the principle of human autonomy. Even when AI is involved, people should be able to decide for themselves. This takes us to the principle of contestability, meaning people's ability to challenge and discuss general technological developments and particular AI systems. There's an ongoing discussion among AI developers about how to design for contestability. Contestable design involves complete knowledge of the values of an AI system, full exposure of its decision-making processes, and direct involvement of people in the development of the system. What I want to suggest here is a bit more mundane. It's just a series of questions that we might ask ourselves before deciding to introduce AI systems in our professional or personal lives. What is the problem that this AI solves? Why does this problem need solving? How does the AI solve it? What are the benefits of the solution? And does it have any drawbacks? We might also use these questions as starting points for a broader debate about AI technologies. Sometimes people get excited about new tech solutions and think we should implement them just because we can. But now might be a good time to stop and consider the implications of this drive towards technological innovation. Just because something's new doesn't mean it's always better. please consider the options. Thank you.